So my name is Paulo Brin. I'm professor of the Department of Management, and this semester we are working at the course Management Advanced. Thank you for choosing my course. And today we will speak about some organizational questions, and today we are speaking about the history of management. Actually, today it must be the practice, but I wrote it in our Telegram chat that as far as there was no information regarding the course, I decided to prepare like big introduction to our course and to management science and generally. Regarding the organizational questions, in our Telegram chat, you can find the link to our common folder. In this folder, it will be possible for everybody to find all the presentations. Also, I will upload some books in English regarding our course. And what is, I think, the most important for you, that just a moment, I will share you my screen. You will find the progress file. You will find the progress file. I will show you it. Actually, now it is completely possible for you to see this file. So what you can see here. In this table, here you will see all the students who decided to choose my course, and here you will find the tasks. The tasks are already written. Okay, I will make the tasks bold. Here you will see deadlines. Now there is no task, so there is no deadline. And all the students who visited my previous course, normally you know how it would be. It would be like this, that every student will have some grade after every task. Here you can see there is the biggest score for every task, and the biggest total score is 100. And after the course, you can see that there are 8 tasks, and after the course you will score some points, and if you score for example 90 and more, you will have the best grade 5A. And if you score less, for example from 80 to 89, you will have 4B, and okay, etc. etc. And also now all of the spaces are empty, but after every lecture I will add the link to the video for the students who missed for some reasons our meeting. So generally it's not your obligation to visit the lectures. Actually, it's completely normal if you watch it on YouTube when it is convenient. Then it is convenient for you. Or, as far as I know, it is some problems for students for China with watching videos on YouTube. So it is completely possible for you to upload to download all these videos from Teams, from Microsoft Teams. I will show you it. So now it is the process of recording is switched on. So you will visit the calendar, you will find the chat connected with our course, and it will be possibility for you to download the video with the lecture. So actually for everybody there are three main possibilities. The first one is to visit lecture, the second one is to watch it on YouTube, and the third possibility is to download the video and watch it a little bit later when it is convenient for you. All the presentations also will be uploaded to our common folder. You will find it. During our today's course, we are speaking only about practical information, practical instruments of the management. Only during the first lecture it will be like some pure theory regarding management. So during today's meeting, my intent is to prepare you for our course, just like this. Generally, if speaking about the organizational questions, it's over. So I'm ready to begin the lecture, but before it, I'd like to ask maybe somebody has questions. You're welcome to ask.
I have a question regarding company we need to select for this course. Maybe select diversified rather than non-diversified company as it's stated in your file.
Thank you for the question. Regarding it, I want to prepare the description at the end of our today's meeting. So okay, if you ask me, okay, I will answer. It should be a non-diversified company, or actually it could be a piece of a diversified company, but the last screens of my today's presentation is connected with the type of the company, and it will be connected with the task. So we will come back to the table again at the end of our today's meeting. Okay, but if shortly, it should be non-diversified company, or it should be the piece of a strategical business unit of a diversified company. And as for me, it is better to take as an object of your research the company in which you work at, and it will help you to look at our company maybe from a little bit different angle, to think about the company, even if you are if you have a non-managerial position in the company. Even in this very situation, I strongly believe that it will help you to understand the activity of the company in the better way. So you will need no financial information. You will need actually no internal information except some positions of workers, because we will speak about some instruments of management, and at these at this stage you have to prepare the description of some position. So I think it would be better if it is your position, this very position, the position at which you are working at this very company. So it will be more interesting for you, I think. Okay, other questions? Organizational questions, not connected with the course, but only with grades, how to communicate. And one more piece of information. As you saw from our timetable, from your calendar, you have one meeting lecture. We are meeting twice a month, not every week, but we have lectures during the odd weeks, or we call it as in HAPI as the first weeks, and we have practices during the round weeks, or as we call it in HAPI, the second weeks. And during the practices, it will be completely possible to communicate with every student. So during the practice, we are discussing your tasks. We have two practices, and it will be completely possible to communicate with every student. So how it goes? It's better to send me the task a day before. The email address is written also here. Just a moment. Here at the corner you can see the email address for our course. So if we have the practice, let me see, we have lecture, sorry. We have lecture on Monday. We have normal lecture on Monday, and normally we have practices on Tuesday. So please send me your task not later than Sunday. And during Monday I will check everything, and during Tuesday, during our practices, we will discuss every task. So during this course we have less students, and it will be great possibility to speak with every student. So my plan is to communicate with every student. So for example, now we have 18 students, so next Tuesday I do hope that I will speak with, not next, but in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks I will speak with everybody. We will discuss your tasks. Actually, if you wish, if somebody says, okay, I don't want to communicate, I just want to send you the task and that's all, okay, it's completely okay. I will just read and put your grade and that's all. Okay, any more questions, organizational questions, dear students?
Hello, there is a calendar appointment that we have like couple of hours of the class. As I understand, this is like just 2 classes combined into one. Will we have a break in between them, or what is the plan about this?
Regarding the break, Actually, today my plan is to deliver the whole lecture without a break, but actually, if you wish to make a break, we can do it, but it's how to say it's my work to deliver the lecture and you are just listening, but if you wish, we will make the break. And if speaking about practices, I will begin the practice and then we are beginning to discuss all the tasks. And we will discuss, okay, if okay, actually, dear Evgeny, you are correct. I didn't think about it that it should be maybe to prepare some order, some list, for example, because if a student want not to listen to other students, but if a student wishes to only to discuss the tasks. Am I right? Did you mean this situation?
Yeah, this is also interesting.
So it's like to prepare the list of appointment, and for example, it will be 10 minutes per every student, and everybody has to set some time of meeting within these big slot of time. Okay, I will do it. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, dear students?
I believe,
Mhm.
sorry, I believe the original question from Evgeny was about today's lesson, because in our calendar we see that it takes 4 hours.
Yes, and according to your timetable, yes, it is. But I set it without break, but it must be with a break. So actually, it should be not one meeting. It should be two meetings. It should be two meetings because it is like two classes. Why you see not two classes but one big, but one big? Because it is rather difficult for me to add every student because I do it manually. You know, I'm taking every student and adding the student to the list of the invited persons. So I decided to prepare it like one big slot of time, but theoretically there are not one big but two small slots. Thank you for the question. And from your timetable you saw that today we have two classes. The first is from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. and the second is from 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. Kyiv time.
Thank you.
Other questions, dear students? No. Okay, so we are switching to the lecture. So today I'm going to speak with you about the introduction to our course, Management Advanced, and today I'm going to discuss briefly the history of management, the main driving forces in management, the main milestones in management, and the main functions of management, because all your tasks will be connected with some functions of management. So let's begin. we are beginning with history of management. Generally, let's begin from ancient times. We can say that even in prehistorical times, people lived in some groups. And for example, when they were hungry, they as it is drawn at this very picture, for example, they were hungry and they wanted to kill some mammoth, and they decided to divide some roles. Somebody planned this activity, somebody took part in the hunting. So generally we can say that even in prehistorical times people used the main functions of management. And these functions are planning, organizing, motivating, and controlling. And generally, if anybody asks you what is management, you can say the best definition of management as a science, as I think, that a management is planning, organizing, motivating, and controlling. And a manager is the person who implements these functions. So, we will speak about these functions today a little bit later, but I wish to prepare you for our course from the very beginning. So generally you can understand the ideas of the function even from these words, that the first activity of a manager is planning. So we have to create a plan, some roadmap for our activity, and generally you have to set objectives for all the staff within your company, and the result of the planning function is the strategy of the company. So the strategy is the detailed plan for the company. And generally one set of the tasks will be connected with planning functions, the tasks within our course. The second function of management is organizing. Organizing, if speaking like in non-managerial terms, but in using the simple terms, when you are saying as a manager, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you are setting tasks. So in this manner you are organizing your subordinates. And we will speak that it is the more effective way if you create some organizational structure beforehand. So it will help you to control and to manage all your subordinates in the most efficient way. So generally, okay, let's come back to this picture a little bit later. Motivating. Motivating means that you have to set the incentive for everybody, some reward. Actually, I'm using the word incentive, not a reward, because these words are not synonym, because the reward is only positive, something that can be provided to some person, and an incentive could be positive or negative. It is completely normal when a worker is going to his working place thinking not about the objectives of the company, but he or she is thinking about his or her personal objectives. So nobody is going to the working place keeping in mind, okay, I'm going to my working place to help my boss to become more profitable, to help my company to be more profitable. Maybe if you are an entrepreneur, you are thinking in this manner, but normally if you are only a worker at some company, you are thinking about some personal objectives. Maybe you are thinking how to earn money to buy some equipment, some food. Maybe you want to buy some clothes for your children, etc. So you have your personal incentives, and during the motivating function discussing, we will speak how to combine all these personal objectives with objectives of the company. And last but not least is controlling function. Controlling means that we have to check whether our objectives attained during during our activity. So can we say that all these functions were implemented in ancient time? Yes, somehow these people did the plan hunting somehow, certainly. Did they organize their activity? Maybe they divided in some groups. Certainly, yes. Did they have some motivation? Yes, they had the best motivation. They were hungry, generally. And can we say that they used controlling function? Certainly yes, because, for example, maybe somebody from the hunters were killed, and in this situation, they analyzed how to prevent these awful situation in future. So they analyzed the activity. So they used some features of controlling. But nobody separated the managerial work from non-managerial. And nobody thought that it should be some managers in the society. And if speaking about some evidences, we can say that even in the first possible evidences written in some tablets, that we can say that all ancient people, they lived in organized groups, and because this is only our, how to say, our ideas about it, but we have also some evidences that people really lived in organized groups and used some functions of management. Also, the big objects could be built only with the help of some managerial instruments. And also you can understand that people had some conflicts, and when it was some wars in ancient time, they also had to use some practices, some instruments of management. And generally, the word strategy came from old Greece, language. So, if translate the word strategy from old Greece, it's like the art of a troop leader, the art of being general. And certainly, when in this situation, people had to use planning, organizing, motivating, and controlling. But ancient practice of management was quite different compared with the modern situation. Why? Because nobody used, first of all, the word management. Actually, the word management came from the Latin word manus. It means hand. So when we are showing something with a hand, we are selecting somebody to complete some task. So this is the idea why the word manage came from old Latin word manus. But in old organizations, we can find some characteristics of contemporary organizations. They managed formally, and they had levels of management. And who was the managers? The managers was like kings, tsars, or troop leaders. They were the managers in prehistorical times. And if the manager was quite effective, so in this situation, it was possible for him to build a big empire. So here you can see the empire of Alexander the Great. But as you know, the history after his death, they lost the empire, because the empire was based only at the personal talent of this manager. The second very interesting example from ancient time is Roman Empire. So this is the time when the Roman Empire was the biggest, and during this time the managers, the managers of Roman Empire, they understood that they had to build the communicational systems. And how it was possible to communicate in ancient time? It wasn't possible like it is now, just to send email, to communicate via handy, for example. So it was the only possible way to communicate, to use rods. And as you can see at the right picture, it is like blood system of roads in Roman Empire. So it was possible to send letters, and also if somebody decided to fight against Roman rule, it was possible to deliver army in very quick time. And in the left picture, you can see the old Appia Road. It is in Rome. If you visit Rome, the capital of Italy, I'm strongly recommending you to visit this old Appia Road. It is situated a little bit to the south from the center, but it's completely possible to go to this road by feet from the center of Rome. And generally, can you believe that this very road was built more than 2,000 years ago? Please think about this fact. So coming back to our speech about management, I'd like to stress that even in when it was Roman Empire, the managers in that time, they really realized that we have not only to build the organizational system within our organization, but we also had to build communicational system. And they really understood that the communication system is the essential part of management. But the practice was completely different from today, because it was only a few middle managers in ancient times, and now we have a lot of middle managers in any company. And usually it was like one-man show. What does it mean? It was like one manager, and when this manager was effective, everything was okay with the organization. But when a manager was non-effective, the organization or the empire had a set of problems. Like it was some bad times for Roman Empire, then Nero took this position. And the last example from ancient time is connected with the Roman Catholic Church. I decided to discuss it in my introduction to our course, because this organization is still alive, and I think that it will be alive for years. So they have a very simple organizational structure. They have a lot of level, like Pope, cardinals, archbishops, bishops. They have budget of the church. So this organization is managed formally, and I think this fact helped the organization to be alive for all these years. Let's, as the short conclusion, let's compare the old organization with new organization. When it was ancient time, it was few large organizations and no big businesses. And now we have a lot of extremely large, powerful organizations. Several years ago, I read a very interesting article with the title "There is Nike." Somebody pronounces this word like Nike. It is the company producing the sports equipment, but originally it must be pronounced as Nike. Where is Nike? The money and the owners are from US. The designers are from France mostly, and somebody from Italy and from Switzerland. And the productional shops are situated in the Asia. So there is Nike all over the world, you know. Generally, it is not possible to manage such a big company without formal approaches. In ancient times, I told you that the number of managers was relatively small, and now we have a lot of managers in any company. So the managers, they are not working with their hands, but they are working with their brain, mostly. Okay, but it's my mistake to discuss only this difference, but generally the biggest difference between managerial and non-managerial staff is that managers completing all the tasks through other people. So managers are they are delegating some tasks. They are not doing some tasks, but they are delegating the tasks to other people, and these people, we call them subordinates. They are non-managerial staff. In old times, managerial work wasn't separated from non-managerial activities, and now the managerial activity is well defined, and everybody knows who is manager. How it was possible to become a manager in previous time? It was possible to be born in the family of a manager, in the family of king, of a tsar, for example, or to kill previous manager. And nowadays, you will not have to kill anybody to become a manager. Because everything is based on your personal efficiency. In previous times, a few people were able to make important organizational decisions. And now many people in the organization can make organizational decisions. And in Japanese companies producing cars, every working place at the assembly line, they have like red button, and it is possible to stop assembly line. They decided to use this practice because they had some problems. With the quality of some cars. As far as I remember, it was the problem connected with Toyota company, and they had big losses. And they analyzed the situation and they discovered that it was completely possible for worker to understand the problem, but they didn't do anything with the problem, and because they didn't have possibility to do anything, and they decided to provide them this possibility. And generally it is the evidence, it is the example that nowadays even non-managerial staff can make some important decisions. And just to summarize, if speaking about the old practice, the old practice was based mostly on intuition, and now the managerial activities, the managerial work is based on the instruments of management, on teamwork and rationality. And the border between ancient times or like pre-managerial times and nowadays is 1911, when these men, Frederick Winslow Taylor, when he published the first book in the field of management, Principles of Scientific Management. And from this date, management became a recognized field of human activity, a recognized field of science, let it be like this. Actually, it was there were several scientists in the field of management who worked in parallel with Frederick Winslow Taylor. And they also published some papers regarding management, and I presented some names today, but why we call Frederick Winslow Taylor as a father of management? It's because he was the first to publish the book. He was the first to publish the book. But before speaking about some steps, some milestones in management, I'd like to begin with the fact why management was born not in England, not in Great Britain, okay, but in US. Actually, it looks a little bit strange if you think that the economy of Great Britain in that times was much bigger, much more powerful compared with the economy of United States. So why management was born not in Europe and particularly in Great Britain, but in the United States of America? It's because of the following reasons. The first, United States was in that times was the only place where a person can find a good salary only basing on personal competencies. Nowadays, and we have this situation, this very situation even nowadays. I know a lot of people, actually, they are our students, our former students, and who are building their careers in Europe. They are always saying, okay, we have some problems. They are looking at us as we are like that they came to their country. And in the United States, if you are smart, if you're clever enough, so it's completely possible for you to have a good position in any company. When a lot of people came to the United States from Europe, and they must be somehow managed. Then, in Europe, it was very unpleasant situation when you had possibility to be educated only if you had like blue blood. Blue blood means that you were born in some rich family. And in the US, it was situation that the education was possible for everybody. So if you're clever enough, if you are not a lord, not a sir, it was completely possible for you to be educated. And why it was very important is because we have much more clever subordinates. So it was possible not only to say, okay, you should only put these very buttons, that's all. Boom, 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 boom. No. You can, not you, but managers could delegate not only through task delegating, but also through setting the objectives. We will speak about it a little bit later, but okay, it's very important to understand it right now that there are two principal way of delegating if you wishes something to be done. First of all, you can, as a manager, you can say, okay, to subordinates, you have to do this. This is setting the task. But also, if your subordinate is clever enough, is smart enough, it is possible to say, okay, to set not, to delegate not a task, but to set an objective. For example, setting a task. I wish our expenses to be decreased in 10% by the new year. And by delegating the, by setting the objectives in this very way, it is completely possible for the subordinate to think what should be done to attain this very objective. And if our subordinates are more educated, they are in average more clever, and it is better, it can be better managed organization to be built from the subordinates. And the last but not least fact was that the country was rather big, and there were a lot of monopolies, and from these monopolies we had a set of very big companies, and these very big companies had to be managed formally, only informal way. Because if you have a small organization, a very small organization, it is completely possible to say, okay, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this personally. But, for example, if the organization is rather big, for example, our university has more than 100 educational departments. I'm speaking only educational now departments. In Ukrainian, it is cathedra. And certainly our rector is not saying like this: the head of department of management, you have to do this. The head of the department of finance, you have to do the same, and repeating it 100 times. Certainly no. Our rector says something like this: okay, all head of departments should prepare the lists of, for example, of the employees working at the departments. And every head of department now from this situation, he or she understands what should be done. Why it is possible? It is possible because we have the organizational structure, an effective organizational structure. And the organizational structure, building organizational structure, is one of the instrument of management. So what is possible in small company, in a small company, it is completely impossible in a big company. So it was also very powerful driving force which enabled management to be born in the United States of America. And at this very picture you can see the main milestones of management, and we will discuss these steps very briefly. Actually, you can ask me, dear professor, why we are speaking about these milestones. Actually, because we will not use this information in our tasks, but why I decided to deliver this information during our introduction to the course, it's because without this information it's completely impossible to understand the management as a science. So let's speak about it. So I think this man he is Frederick Winslow Taylor. He was a father of management because he published the first book in management. Actually, the main idea of Frederick Winslow Taylor was that a manager should organize the subordinates in the most effective way. So if everybody works in the best way, so our company will be profitable. And he tried to increase the efficiency of the man who put coal to the oven. And generally he discovered that everybody had his own shove. I'm usually saying his or her, but now now his, because only his, because it was the working place only for men, because it's a rather difficult position. So he discovered that everybody has his own show. And what was the problem? The problem was that the efficiency of every worker was quite different. And he calculated the best capacity, because the shoal shouldn't be very small. It will be in this situation, if the shoal is very small, so it would be possible for a worker to work all over the day without getting tired, but the temperature was rather low, the temperature of heating. Vice versa, if the shoal was big enough, it would be very good, because it would be possible to put a big amount of coal into the fire, but it wasn't possible to work all over the day with the instrument. So thereafter he analyzed, first of all he began with the capacity in like weight capacity. He calculated that it should be about 21 pound capacity. It is something around 9 kilograms of a coal should be put to the shoal, and then he created a design of the shoal for this very capacity. And the output was really phenomenal, and it was the first victory of formal management. From nowadays, it sounds maybe a little bit funny, really funny, but please think that before Frederick Winslow Taylor, nobody from owners of the business supported the subordinates with the instruments. So it was like business of all the subordinates to find the instruments. And Frederick Winslow Taylor was the first who realized that we had to provide our staff with instruments. And certainly the book of Frederick Winslow Taylor was not only about this fact. It was presented by me just because it was the first victory in management, but also he worked how to train the subordinates, how to select them, and also how to calculate the fair payment for every worker. And one maybe interesting information, in parallel with Frederick Winslow Taylor, this man, he was Frank Gilbreth, and here is his wife, Lily. And actually why I decided to put this picture here is because it's rather funny that in that times the family were rather big, and it's not like unusual situation. It was completely usual situation, and in all the papers Frank said wrote, okay, in the papers, okay, my dear Lily, thank you for supporting me and for helping me with conducting my researches. So she managed not only to keep the family, but she also helped her husband with the researches. But from her face, if you look at her face, you can understand that the life was rather difficult for her. So what they did, they also decided to increase the productivity of a worker, and the worker was bricklayer. Okay, I will translate it into Ukrainian. Це той, хто кирпичі кладе, ну, каменщик. They decided to divide. They decided to divide all the motions to some small motions. They decided something like stroboscope, and they found that every worker used the 17th motions. And what was idea that they can be educated to use only correct motions, and the productivity and they decreased the number of these motions from 18 to 4, and the productivity increased by 250%. Can you imagine? 250%. And the main contribution of the first scientists in the field of management was that they provided the best way of every operation, of completing for every operation, and using this information, it's quite easy to understand whether the worker is working in the best way or not. So it was possible, keeping in mind this information, it was possible, completely possible to use financial incentives. And generally, the main ideas of the first step in management was connected with organizing of the working process of non-managerial staff. So generally, and the why we think that this step was very important, because during this step people became to think about the management as about the separated part of human activity. The second step, you can find it, sounds maybe a little bit strange for you, that here you can find the word school. I'm using not the word school but step, but usually academists in the field of management, scientists in the field of management, they are using the word school. School means not the institution after kindergarten, but in this very meaning it means like something close to the meaning what meant the word school, for example, in old Greece. It was a school of some philosopher, for example. So it was like the scientists and some other scientists who shared the ideas of that very scientist. So this is a little bit another meaning of the word school. So the second school, or the second step in management, was connected with Henri Fayol, because I think you paid the attention that the first school of management, scientific management, that they tried to increase efficiency of non-managerial staff. But we have also to increase the efficiency of managers. And this man, Henri Fayol, it is pronounced not Henry but Henri because he was French. He managed a big French company. His contribution was that he described principles of management and functions of management. So he was the first to say that a manager is the person who plans, organizes, motivates, and controls his or her subordinates. Actually, in a couple of minutes, you will see that he named the functions in a little bit different way. But I'm presenting you the modern titles of the function of management, just not to not be misunderstood like this. So, if speaking briefly, functions of management are the pieces of managerial activity, and here is the information I forgot to present him, that he managed a large French coal firm, and also he identified principles of management. Principles of management are like rules. So management functions is what should be done by a manager, and principles of management is like rules how it should be done. And he described the 14 principles of management. Actually, nowadays not all the principles are in use. We will discuss it, but for that times, but it's not because he was stupid, I mean, Henri Fayol. It's because the external environment of companies has been changed, and not all the principles are still working, still in use. I will set you the examples in a couple of minutes. What principles of management by Henri Fayol are not working anymore. Okay, the 14th principles of Henri Fayol. He said, okay, it must be the division of labor. The work must be divided. It was actually not his idea, but it was the idea of Adam Smith. In his book Wealth of the Nations, he provided the example that if connected with crafting some things. Okay, but anyway, somehow the work must be divided. Authority. Authority means that a manager has a right to issue some commands. Discipline means that employees, subordinate, must obey the manager. Unity of command. Each worker should have only one subordinate. And generally, if speaking about the fact that some principles are not more in use, this very principle is not working now because, you know, in companies there are possibility to have some orders from different supervisors. Why it is so? Because some companies has a matrix structure. We will discuss this type of the structure. So in this situation, everybody has at least two supervisors. Unity of direction. Everybody in the company must know the general strategy of the company, the mission statement of the company, and they have to work to attain the main objective of the company. Everybody has some personal goals, personal objectives, but it must be subordinated to the general objectives of the company. Actually, this principle isn't working anymore because from the modern point of view, the manager should prepare incentives to satisfy all the needs of subordinates, and in this very way they will work for the organization. So now managerial theory doesn't say us that everybody must consciously subordinate the objectives, the personal objectives, to the company's objectives. It is the task for a manager to organize it. Remuneration. It means that everybody must have a reward in an organization. Centralization. It means that we must have some organizational structure in our company, and we must have scalar chain. We must have some levels of authority, levels of management. And nowadays, you know that any big company has top management, middle management level, and lower or operative management level. Order means that we have to set some rules within our company. when it must be some fair payment in company, so it must be equity. Actually, when students see this picture last year, they say, Paulo, you are a little bit wrong. You should delete this picture because everything is unfair. All these three person all these three person, they had to buy tickets to the stadium. Okay. Any company must pay attention to stability of personnel, because if we have a big labor turnover, великоплинність кадрів, in this way we have to pay more and more for supporting our organization with a new staff. It's not financially effective. We have to support the initiative of our subordinates, and also we must have the corporative culture, esprit de corps, corporative culture of our company. And also Henri Fayolle, he defined the managerial functions. He named it in a little bit different way. As I told you, please don't think about these old titles of functions. Please keep in mind that now we have planning, organizing, motivating, and controlling. And what was the most contribution of the main contribution of Henri Fayolle? He developed principles of management, and he developed functions of management, and also he, with the help of the mentioned, he increased the efficiency of managerial staff. Okay, so dear students, just a moment. I see that you must be tired, so let's make a break, and in a half of hour, so at 4:50 p.m. in a half of hour, we are meeting again, and I will finish the history of management. Now it is a break. Does anybody has some questions regarding the material? No. Okay, thank you. So let's meet in half of hour.